I don't think it's a differentiator between Iowa, just given the secondary we have. But if you just look at the scope of the Big Ten, I would rate him as
above average receiver.
a top 8, top 5 receiver in the Big Ten.
I don't know if I'll go as high as top 5, but he's a good player.
Yeah.
But where we really struggle is when you put that NFL receiver on the field.
Yeah.
O-line's they're going to be dominant, and that's really where they've been successful against Iowa these past couple of years. Is they can line up and we have the invitation of run your inside zone, and they go, okay, we'll take that for 6.
Yeah.
And when they have, especially when they're going to be at home this year, and you're not going to have the same energy in the room for us stopping the run, and you're going to have the O-line playing with a little more confidence, being a little more on time, not having snap count issues, you're likely going to see them run the ball fairly well between the 20s. Where the system has fallen apart has been within the red zone against us. I can't remember the last time they scored a red zone touchdown against us. It's been
a long time.
Yeah.
And I
guess Mo had one early, the first half of 2 years ago's game.
Yeah, it was like 7 yards out.
Yeah, but that might be the first one in a couple of years.
Yeah, and I think just evaluating even Brosmer too, I think it's hard to discount his film in a way. He's obviously like 6'1". He's not a very athletic guy. He'll be able to scramble for third down, so they're not going to run him. But when you watch him, he's an accurate guy over the middle. And you can
watching completions.
You're trying to replicate Tanner Morgan, which is what they should be doing. Athan was not the fit for their system. They're trying to throw 10-yard ins, 8-yard slants, 15-yard floating post. Everything towards, between the hashes. And they found the guy to do it. Like, he's got a good motion. If he was honestly on Iowa this year as our backup QB, I wouldn't take him over Cade. But if he was like the next in line guy for an even next year, I'd be like, this is what I would want. I want this point guard type of quarterback to run our offense. He doesn't scream the, Van Dyke type of arm or other QBs, but he has the ability just to run an offense that's going to run the ball for 200 yards a game. And that's, I think he marries well with it, where I don't think I want to talk down about him, because I think he actually, if he throws 14 times a game, he might go 12 or 14. And it's going to be one of those like Tanner Morgan, not 2019 Tanner Morgan, but 2021, 22 Tanner Morgan, where he kind of more threw for 150, but it was like he only had 2 incompletions.
I just don't see the arm strength that is going to put the fear within Iowa's defense.
Not
I think
Iowa.
we're going to play, and we just defend over the middle of the field so well. Mm-hmm. That I'm just talking about our game with them.
Yeah.
If you're going to rely on 15-yard throws on the middle of the field against Iowa, that's a real problem.
Mm-hmm.
And why Athan, he really failed to throw the ball outside the numbers last year. It was actually a really poor effort. He essentially broke his brain after that game. How many balls he put in the dirt. But he had at least the capability to put the ball outside the numbers, which makes Iowa think for a moment. Mm-hmm. If you don't have that possibility, then unless they're running for 250 in this game, 200, and we make some turnovers, I feel very comfortable with putting Brosmer versus Iowa.
Yeah, I think another thing they did in the offseason too was obviously Darius he has a chance to be all Big Ten this year. I think he flashed in some games as a freshman. It'll be interesting to stay healthy. I mean, I think he had 2 separate injuries last year, and PJ is known for running his running backs into the dirt. Like, if you're the number one, you're getting 30 carries, and you're getting 30 even when we're up by 2 scores. He's not going to save your legs. He's trying to get stats. But then they bring in 3 former starters from D1 programs. And that type of, when you kind of envision their offense, they don't have the receiver skills or tight ends that's going to push our buttons, but they're going to try to run the ball 35 times at home. And they have plenty of backs, and they have the O-line to do it. So there's a concern there, especially being on the road, that they could just naturally drag you into the game they've dragged you into the last 6 years, where it's going to be a really short game. They're not going to turn the ball over. They're not going to commit penalties. And their defense is so predicated on stopping the run, we're not going to have the ability to naturally drive against them more than maybe 3 times.
Well, I think the crux of the equation will be how well does Cade, Lachey, Caleb play against Minnesota's pass defense. When we've had success against them and had high point totals, it's always in the passing game, because they build their entire defense around stopping the run, and they put their secondaries on the island. The reason that fell apart last year is because you had potentially the worst passing game in FBS history.